Royal Protection Officer Richard Griffin told Sky News about an incident in which the late Queen Elizabeth II and himself bumped into two American hikers while up in Scotland. He related how they had not recognized the Queen, but she continued to play along, avoiding identifying herself and referring to her Balmoral estate as her holiday home. After photos were taken of the Americans, who were still none the wiser, with the Queen, Her Majesty quipped that she would love to be a fly on the wall when the man returned home to show him the photos of the hikers he met while in Scotland. Mr Griffin said, "Normally, on these picnic sites, you meet nobody. But there were two hikers coming towards us and the Queen would always stop and say hello. And it was two Americans on a walking holiday, and it was clear from the moment we first stopped they had not recognized the Queen." The American gentleman was telling the Queen where he came from, where they were going next, and where they had been to in Britain. And I could see it coming, and sure enough he said to Her Majesty, "And where do you live?" She said, "Well, I live in London but I have got a holiday home just on the other side of the hills." He said, "Well, how often have you been coming up here?" She said, "Oh, I have been coming up here ever since I was a little girl, so over 80 years. He said, "Well, if you have been coming up for 80 years, you must have met the Queen." And as quick as a flash, she says, "Well, I have not, but Dickie here meets her regularly." So the guy said to me, "What, you've met the Queen? What was she like?" And because I was with her a long time and I knew I could pull a leg, I said, "She can be very cantankerous at times but she has got a lovely sense of humor." Anyway, the next thing I knew, this guy came round, put his arm around my shoulder, and before I could see what was happening, he got his camera, gave it to the Queen, and said, "Can you take a picture of the two of us?" Anyway, we swapped places and I took a picture of them with the Queen and we never let on, and we waved goodbye, and then Her Majesty said to me, "I would love to be a fly on the wall when he shows those photographs to his friends in America and hopefully someone tells him who I am." Tributes to the Queen have been pouring in from around the world as Britain mourns the loss of its longest-standing monarch. Members of the public in Britain and around the globe paid their own respects to a woman who had been the face of her nation for more than 70 years. On a rainy London night, thousands gathered outside Buckingham Palace, in central London, some laying floral tributes outside the Black Iron Gates. There were similar scenes outside the Queen's Windsor Castle home. Black cabs lined up outside the palace to pay homage to the Queen. Portraits of Elizabeth were posted on billboard screens in central London's Piccadilly Circus and the city's Canary Wharf financial district, and also across the Atlantic in New York's Times Square. Flowers were laid outside the British Consulate General in New York. In Berlin, flowers and candles were laid outside the British Embassy, while in Venice, "God Save the Queen," the British national anthem, was played outside the Italian city's festival buildings. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower went dark at the stroke of midnight in a tribute to the Queen. In Brazil, the giant statue of Christ the Redeemer overlooking Rio de Janeiro was lit up in the red, blue, and white of the United Kingdom's flag, while Australia announced plans to illuminate the sails of the Sydney Opera House. Related articles front pages across the globe honor "Beloved Queen, Queen's death a seismic moment for Westminster warns Anne Widdecombe Andrew Neil issues Scottish independence warning after Queen's death."